And here we are. Good morning, everyone. My name is Paco, and I wanted to come live just to share a little bit of my daily routine with you. Usually in the morning, I wake up and I have my cup of coffee and I read my headlines. And what I thought I would do today is instead of doing it by myself, I could use some company, and maybe you can use some company too. So get some coffee ready and feel free to join me. Feel free to share with me a little bit of time as we read some headlines from the newspaper this morning and from the web. And feel free to say hi, feel free to ask questions, and I'll be happy to answer the ones that I can. The ones that I cannot, I promise I will not make anything up. So let's jump into the headlines this morning, or at least the ones that caught my attention. Needless to say, we're all concerned about the fact that um, we are now to stay indoors for a whole month, and also about the fact that a case has finally been announced in Puerto Vallarta. So let's start with what was announced last night by the president. This comes from Contralinea, and it says 12 points to understand the sanitary emergency in Mexico, which is published after the federal government decreed it last night with 1,094 confirmed cases in the country, 28 deaths. I, of course, would be concerned about these figures, not because I think they're right or wrong, but because, for better or worse, the number of the figures is changing on a regular basis. But here are the important measures to be taken during this emergency. Number one, the period of suspension, of activity suspension, of not essential activities, as along with social distancing, has been extended until the 30th of April. The activities that are considered essential are the ones that are necessary to address the emergency, such as medical, paramedics, administrative support of these sectors, both in the public and the private sector. Uh, Other essential activities have to do with public security and citizen protection, justice, and legislative activity, both at federal and state levels. Number two, in the activities that are not stopping, that is, the activities that are going to continue forward, you cannot have meetings with more than 50 people. I don't know of anybody that would want to at this point. And you must wash your hands as frequently as you can, aside from addressing social distancing. Um, then the emergency, the national emergency, does not include drastic measures like, the government's not going to come and tell us you have to stay home. Um, This is important. Staying at home should be strictly enforced by people who are 60 years of age or older, people with heart, lung diseases, or diabetes, or hypertension, or pregnancy. Um, it is also, number five, it is also expected that the private sector will adopt telecommuting modalities, working from a distance, um, in a way that whatever activities that workers have to do imply having to be present. Number six, this is going to cause a lot of conflict, and I'm sure it already is causing a lot of conflict. It says businesses should pay their workers their complete salaries and not reduce their salaries during this month, um, as we follow this emergency. I've been fielding a lot of questions personally about how businesses are supposed to do this. Of course, I'm not an expert in these matters. Somebody asked me the other day, what about paying taxes and paying IMSS? This is something that you should probably address directly with your accountant. Um, Then number 7, we are asking Hacienda and the Economy Secretariat and the Work Secretariat, IMSS and ISTE and Infonavit, to operate whatever measures they need to operate to protect businesses and workers during this emergency. Number 8, the Marine Secretariat and the National Defense Secretariat will wow, doing this online simultaneous translation is quite a trick. Um, they will determine hospitals and vessels and planes. Um, they will put vessels and planes aside so that they can address the necessary measures. Number 9, it is expecting that the Hacienda and the Secretary of Economy and Agriculture and Rural Development to get together with the productive sectors that are participating in the production and distribution of basic food items so that basic food items can be distributed accordingly. Number 10, um, they are exhorting all population living in the country, including those that arrive from other countries, to not participate in activities that are not essential and to stay home until the 30th of April. Um, Number 11, this is another interesting one. We are, they say, postponing all the census and polls to be taken care of in the country until further notice. Some people were commenting on the fact that the Census Department in Mexico had been conducting their work. They've been doing their work, going door to door, up until a few days ago, and some people were concerned about the fact that these people were not wearing face masks. Some of the workers themselves were concerned about the fact that they were being sent out to conduct the census without being properly protected. Well, this all is going to stop now. And number 12, the government secretariat must maintain a constant link with all the powers of the nation and governments at federal and state level, along with representatives of the civil industry, along with social communication and the president and the media, to promote these measures. I guess we're doing a little bit of that on our own here. And the government informs that once this sanitary emergency is over, they will be emitting communications to allow us to go back to our regular activities. And this is all stemming from last night's address to the nation that took place in the evening. That's a headline. If you're just joining me, or if you're catching this live broadcast halfway through or later on, my name is Paco, and I'm reading headlines. I think I'm going to be reading headlines every day and having my coffee with you, so you're more than welcome to join me. You're more than welcome to ask questions, share comments, and so forth. Let's take a look at another one. Ah, yes, this is one that is going to rattle our cages all day long today. Last night, it was confirmed that the first case of COVID-19 in Puerto Vallarta has been announced. As of last night, that means there are 94 cases in Jalisco. The report comes from Contralinea, and it says this is something that we've been expecting, given the fact that we already have 2 cases in Tomatlan, which is a municipality south of Puerto Vallarta, and a case in Bahía de Banderas, which is just north of the city. And then it says, even though there's only 1 confirmed case in Puerto Vallarta, given the exponential growth of the virus and the spread, they're emphasizing once again, and we're going to hear this all over the place, staying home. And it also says that patrols will start making announcements for people to stay at home with their megaphones. And this is going to be a little bit unnerving for those of us that live here. But that's those are the measures that the city is taking. The communication that was sent out reads like this. The Jalisco's Health Secretariat reported 9 new cases of COVID-19 that resulted from the tests conducted by the state's lab. And then it says there have not been any confirmed deaths in the last 72 hours. Um, and it continues giving figures. I am a little bit reluctant to share actual numbers just because these numbers are going to be changing constantly. Um, I think the more time goes by, the more we're going to want to concern ourselves, not so much with keeping track of the numbers. Well, the keeping track of the numbers is important, but what's important to me is what are you doing? What am I doing? What are we all doing to stay healthy, to stay sane? Particularly those of us and those of you that live by yourselves. You know, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you need to connect, let me know. I know that I need to connect, so I'm always happy to hear from anybody of you who's watching. Feel free to type in your comments and questions, and that's that. Another one that has to do with what Puerto Vallarta is doing to address the needs of patients. This is the city getting ready prior to the growth of the disease. And all these comments stem from the regular meeting that our mayor had with the city council members yesterday. It says that 7 spaces will be habilitated to receive the people with the virus, along with improved hospital infrastructure. Let's see. Most of these comments I already translated yesterday, and you can find them in Tricia Lyman's wonderful Facebook group, Puerto Vallarta, Everything You Need or Want to Know. My dear friend Paul Christ is saying hello. Hi, Paul. It's nice to see you. Paul says, yesterday, Mayor Arturo Avalos announced he's cutting his own salary by 50% and directors of department at City Hall by 20% with the funds used to set up food and assistance for people in need. This is absolutely true. We are all very happy to see that the mayor is doing this. And Paul Chris says, hi, Paul. It's good to read you. It's good to see you. Anyhow, let's see what else we can find in the news. This is more about the mayor wanting to increase security and increase what needs to be done. Again, more news about the fact that we have now the first case confirmed in Puerto Vallarta. I was also amused to learn that thanks to the lockdown, the iconic zebra crossing from Abbey Road finally gets a fresh coat of paint. Good for them. I mean, it's a challenging thing that we're thinking constantly about this virus, but I mean, the world needs to find a way to continue on. And, you know, Abbey Road, you know, I'm glad that they're painting. I read yesterday that the city, our city, Puerto Vallarta, is also thinking of conducting some public works, but don't quote me on that. Again, you know, guidelines and changes go switch from day to day these days. Have some coffee. And let's see what else. This is important. This came from informador.mex. The president of Holland America Line spoke against governments that have turned their back on thousands of people that are floating at sea. Yes, we know that cruise ships have been, you know, going one way or another, you know, sailing from one port to another. Some have been rejected in one place, some have been rejected in others. And also, we've seen them on our bay. We've seen them. They're not docking. They're staying afloat from afar. And But I've seen a lot of commentary on Facebook about how we want those cruise ships to go away. Well, we have to be we have to show a lot of empathy. I think when all of this is going on, I think it's important to keep in mind that a lot of people are struggling. A lot of people need help. I mean, who are we to say we don't want people that are on a boat to spend time with us, to get close to us? I'm sure that the measures that are being taken um, by those people that are getting the necessary supplies to these boats and to these cruise ships um, are the safe as they can. I see. Hello, Jerry Ambry. I've gotten a nice little welcome. Thank you for what you're doing. Well, thank you for watching, Jerry. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're staying healthy. Um, I hope you're taking care of yourself. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Um, and those are pretty much the headlines that I've been keeping track of this morning. I am going to continue keeping track of headlines. I'm going to continue drinking coffee on a daily basis. I think I'm going to do this every day at the same time because we all need to stay connected. We all need to hear from one another. If you are living by yourself, if you are feeling lonely, if you have questions about how you are going to move forward through this situation, feel free to stop by because you're not the only one. I live by myself with my kitty cat, and although I've been working from home for quite some time, it is still challenging to get used to this new normal. So do feel free to come back. I think I'm going to be coming back tomorrow morning at the same time. And if you enjoyed yourself today, feel free to let your friends know, and feel free to get your coffee ready tomorrow, and feel free to join me again. My name is Paco Ojeda, and it is a pleasure to have coffee with you. Have a great day.